Why do people become fat? We used to think that eating makes people fat. But what if I told you that a fat person eats simply because he is fat? For us to understand this, we have to take into account two situations with two hormones. The first situation will happen from a normal weight person and hormone insulin. When a normal weight person starts to consume foods that are insulin spiking without ample amount of sugar burning activities, these foods will eventually lead into fats because of insulin. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Foods like ice cream, pasta, desserts, bread, rice even, donuts, sodas, all of the cakes, all of the biscuits, all of the chocolates, and the candies, including cereals, oats, even whole wheat bread, corn, noodles, those are all carbohydrates that spikes insulin. We are not just considering the amount of impact in the sugar, but the net impact, their overall impact when it comes to our insulin level. And when we keep on stimulating on those insulin at a chronically long-term phase, we develop fat storing mode. And when we are on a fat storing mode, we keep on eating, we keep on elevating insulin, and eventually it can lead into obesity. So obesity can be the ones that we can see within our naked eyes, someone who looks really fat, but there's also what we call as TOFI, or thin outside but fat inside. These are what we consider as metabolically obese. They may weigh like normal, but their stomach are bloated, they have fatty liver, they have high degree of visceral fats, or their blood lipids are somewhat elevated in the form of triglycerides and VLDL and sometimes LDL. So this is now what we call as metabolic syndrome, and it is related to insulin resistance. And when this happens, we now go into phase 2. Phase 2 is when the person with insulin resistance eventually develop leptin resistance. Leptin is a hormone that gives our signal the sense of satisfaction after eating a full meal. However, because of too much stimulation, because of too much food intake, also brought about by too much fat cells in the body, there is now the presence of leptin resistance. So leptin resistance is that your body can no longer send a signal to your brain that you are already satisfied. So what your brain feels is that you're always hungry, you're always starving, and even if your stomach already feels like bursting, your satisfaction is not there. So you're always looking for something, and usually what you are craving are something sweet, something salty, something creamy, and those are of the most dangerous combination of a high carbohydrate, high fat food that are just too much in energy but devoid of nutrients, and the vicious cycle can continue. So from a normal weight individual but chronically increasing insulin, it can lead into insulin resistance, and the moment that we enter phase 2, an already obese individual, either physically obese or metabolically obese, there is now a shoot up of leptin, and there is now a chronic shoot up of leptin, and leptin resistance is already present. And so the person now eats not because he's hungry, but because the person is fat or obese, and that obesity or extra fats in the body are driving the vicious cycle of insulin resistance and leptin resistance, and it worsens the metabolic syndrome, which now link to many of our diseases today. So how to correct it? Just address the root cause, which is the too much insulin spike. And how to address that? Just avoid the food that spikes your insulin. So those foods that we mentioned a while ago, the moment you remove that in your food and you replace them with non-starchy vegetables, and you eat ample amount of good meat, good proteins, plus healthy natural fats, you will just correct your metabolism slowly but surely, and you will go into a fat burning mode the natural way, because without insulin, our body is built to burn fats. Our body is a fat burning machine. As long as there is no insulin spike, to stop this process. So remember to always stay low carb so that you keep your insulin low, you keep your body sensitive to leptin, and eventually we are safe from inflammation and all other diseases brought about by metabolic syndrome. So stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Thank you.